In the Bible, in the world of the Bible, in the world of the Middle East, in the world of the Mediterranean in the ancient times, if you're a man, you marry your father's brother's daughter. So let's take Abraham the patriarch. What we really want to do, we don't want to go to Genesis so much today. We want to be in Matthew. But in order to get to Matthew, let's go to Genesis, because the best commentary on the Bible is the Bible. So we'll go to Genesis to get a better understanding of what's going on between this marriage between Joseph and Mary. So in this world, which is not our Western world, your ideal marriage partner is your father's brother's daughter. That's patrilateral first cousin marriage, by the way. Patrilateral. Abraham the patriarch. Okay. Abraham the patriarch is known to have two women in his protection, Hagar and Sarah. With Hagar, the Egyptian concubine that he owns, he has Ishmael, the son, Ishmael. With Sarah, he has Isaac. So let's look at Genesis chapter 24 and see how Isaac must marry the daughter of his paternal uncle Nahor, the brother of his father Abraham. All right, so let's list this out. Take a look for a moment at Abraham's immediate family, okay? If you look at this list, you'll see that there aren't any girls there. But the last of Abraham's brother Nahor has a son, Bethuel. He's the father of a daughter, Rebekah. Rebekah is Isaac's first cousin once removed. That's how Isaac's going to get his wife. Now the ideal was paternal patrilateral first cousin, right? You would go to your father's brother's daughter, but there is no father's brother's daughter. So the next best thing is first cousin once removed. That's how it happens. All right? Ishmael, however, was chased out by Sarah together with his mother Hagar the slave. How could Ishmael marry his father's brother's daughter? Can't happen. He's gone. He's been taken away. Ishmael can't do that. So what does he do? Well, he marries his mother's brother's daughter, his matrilateral first cousin. See that? Matrilateral first cousin. The ideal was patrilateral. Couldn't get that. Next best thing, matrilateral first cousin. So father's brother's daughter is the ideal. But in the Middle East, always, the ideal is one thing and the real is another. What you say is much more important than what you do. And that's how it goes in the Middle Eastern world, the world of the Bible. Remember the boy who said to his father in Jesus' example, "Yes, Father, I'm going to the vineyard to work." But he never went, and he never had any intention of going to work. You remember that? All right. So you say one thing, but you mean another. You say one thing, and you do another. They're going to roll in the blood in the ditches. And then he went, and he had tea. You say one thing, and you mean and you do another thing. In the Middle Eastern world, in the Mediterranean culture 2,000 years ago, and even today in the Mediterranean world, what you say is much more important than what you do. And always the ideal is one thing, and the real is another thing. That's what parables are. You say one thing and you mean a completely other thing. That's very typical Middle East. Okay, so glancing over Genesis chapter 24, Abraham is old. He needs to get a wife for his son Isaac. He calls in his servant, Genesis chapter 24, 1-4. And he says to him, "Put your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by Yahweh, the God of sky vault, the God of earth." And basically, you're going to go out. You have to go to one of my relatives. You have to go to my own land, to one of my relatives, to get a wife for my son Isaac, because I can't get a wife for my son Isaac among the people we're living here, because they'll get STDs. I can't trust these people. We got to keep it in the same house. That's just how these people think. Okay, not STDs, but you get the point. Abraham tells his servant, "Put your hand under my thigh." Okay. He makes his servant swear about producing a proper wife for Isaac, his son. Try to imagine a culturally plausible scenario here. What's going on here? Put your hand under my thigh. What does he mean by that? If Abraham is standing and his servant is standing, is it easy for the man to literally put his hand under his thigh?
No.
Or suppose Abraham is so old that he's laying down, crippled. Is it any easier for the man to put his hand under his thigh? Well, here's the thing, folks. What if I told you that thigh is a euphemism for a different part of the body? To many, the most important part of the male anatomy. And that what he's actually telling him is, put your hands on my genitalia. Now, this is very serious, folks. Because what he's saying is, if you're swearing by this, what he means is, if you fail to keep your oath, pretty much the worst thing that could ever happen to a man is going to happen to you. You didn't know that the Bible talks like that, but it does, American listeners. You understand? That's what's going on. So anyway, Abraham's servant in Genesis 24:10 takes 10 camels and gifts into Mesopotamia to the city of Nahor. Now when you look at the word city, you look at the term city of Nahor, is Nahor the name of the city? Or is Nahor the name of the brother of Abraham? Well, it may very well be the name of the city in addition to being the name of the brother of Abraham, but that's not important. The place is not important. That's not the important element of the story. The person, Nahor, is important because remember, Abraham's servant has got to find Abraham's brother's daughter. You follow? If there's no daughter, well then, granddaughter. He's got to find somebody along that line. And so he goes from where Abraham is staying in Mamre all the way up the Fertile Crescent up into Aram Naharaim, Haran, Nahor, maybe. Abraham's servant arrives, Genesis chapter 24, verse 11. Near evening, at the time when women go out to draw water, he made the camels kneel by the well outside the city. Let's stop right there. Evening, the time when women go out to draw water. Best commentary on the Bible is the Bible. Here has been given to you a very important piece of cultural information. When are women supposed to get water at the well?
In the morning. In the morning.
In the evening. And you're right, also at morning. But they don't tell you that there. They just told you evening, but that's fine. You're right also. In morning or evening is the time this text says evening. That's the time women go to the well. Okay, now let's fast forward a little bit. We go to John chapter 4, which we were just covering in our story, right? In our John study. John chapter 4, verse 6 to 7. Jesus, tired from his journey, sat down there at the well. It was about noon. A woman of Samaria came to draw water. Let's stop right there. This has to be a bad woman, isn't that right? We know that. John doesn't tell us she's a bad woman. She's a woman of ill repute. But we know she is because why? She's at the well at the wrong time. Men go to the well at noon. Women go during the morning and the evening. This woman's a bad woman from the start of the story. See, John expects you to have, his readers, right? He expects them to have read Genesis 24. He expects them to be exposed and at home in a Middle Eastern setting, in a Mediterranean setting. She's not supposed to be there at that time. And in fact, she has come to the well alone. And if you look at activity in the Middle East, you see that women do not go out unaccompanied. They are always with other women. So that she's alone, that's another bad mark. It's not good. Okay, so moving along, it's a good illustration of high context literature. The author of the fourth gospel we call John doesn't give you a footnote saying, by the way, did you know that respectable women do not behave like this in the Middle East? He expects you to know that. He expects his audience to get that already, okay? And that's how it is with the whole Bible, folks.